Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Energetics Podcast. I am your host, Kara Bunde-Dunn, and we are here for season 4. In the first episode, I am going to be talking all about what is going on in the world. People are asking me all the time, Kara, what is going on? Like, what is a spiritual medium's hot take on all things going on in the world, current events, global events, all the things? So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to hop on the mic. What a perfect episode to kick us off and get us started and talk a little bit about all of the things that are happening right now, energetically, as well as in our 3D human world, the fear, the conflict, the low vibrational energy circulating around the planet, and then just talk through a little bit about what we can do to manage our energy and stay centered and aligned in a very divisive world. Things are feeling really intense. Things are feeling really polarized, and there is a better way to be and to practice as we navigate the waters of this very complicated time in history. So I wanted to start a little bit with what happened to Melissa Hortman. If you don't know that name, she is a congresswoman in Minnesota who was killed in her home for what appears to be a politically motivated attack. I'm from Minnesota, so this one hit pretty near and dear to me. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk too, as that has been in the news and headlines for weeks now, and we will talk about that as well. But I wanted to start with what happened to Melissa Hortman. So I have lots of family and friends on both sides of the political aisle, I will say. And what I have noticed is that there is a phrase that's used when you're not in alignment with the person. So in this particular case, Melissa Hortman is a Democrat, and I have family and friends that have said things like, I cannot believe what happened to her. That is so terrible. And there's an and, I didn't agree with her politically. I didn't really agree with where she stood, but it still was really terrible what happened to her. So people that are Democrats are like, why you gotta say that? Why can't you just say it was terrible what happened to her? Why do you have to qualify it? Why do you gotta say something next to it? Why can't you just say, that was terrible? That was wrong. That was awful. That should never happen in this country. And if you're on the other side, there's this resistance in you to say, well, I don't agree with her. And if I just say that, people might think that I do. And I don't want them to think that. So what do I need to say in order to ensure that people don't think I'm aligned with her? And so there's this whole little story going on in your head because we feel the need to make sure people know we do or don't believe something. And that is also true for what happened with Charlie Kirk. It was just absolutely terrible that somebody who was standing up for what they believe in was assassinated, and they weren't a political figure. They were a political influencer, I would say, but not necessarily a political figure. They didn't hold office. For those of you that don't know who Charlie Kirk is, or maybe you didn't know who he was before his assassination, he was assassinated on a college campus for pretty much standing up for his challenging people's belief systems, is what I will say. I think that feels honest and in integrity. And I, again, have friends on both sides of the aisle. And so what I have experienced is individuals saying things like, what happened to Charlie Kirk is so terrible. Oh my God, my heart hurts. It's so bad. I can't believe it. And if you freaking have anything bad to say about him, shame on you. What happened to him is terrible. And you're like on your soapbox to make sure that people know, don't you dare say anything bad about him. And then you have people on the other side of the aisle that are, quite liberal in their perspectives. And they're saying like, oh my God, that was so terrible. However, he said some crazy ass shit. Like, I don't know what to think about that. And I don't believe in all the things he believed into. But what happened to him is so terrible. And I don't know why we can't just say what happened to Melissa Hortman and what happened to Charlie Kirk is terrible. And we need to rise above the hate that is spewing from people, period. And if you can say that about both individuals and the killing or assassination of both of those individuals, then hats off to you. You're probably maintaining a pretty healthy place of center, if you will. And when people think, believe, act differently than us, we tend to have a lot of resistance energetically in our body. And we tend to get into sadness, frustration, fear, judgment, judging people's perspectives or responses to things. And it's tricky. It's not an easy thing to navigate. So I thought that I would share with you what a spiritual medium's hot take is on some of the things that are happening in the world. So you know me, like I will say, what happened to Charlie Kirk, I felt in my body before I politically knew what happened. I knew something significant happened because I felt this heaviness in my body and I was like, whoa, where did that come from? Like I usually only feel that when there's like an earthquake or natural disaster or like a huge flood and people die. Like, why am I feeling this way? And then of course I checked the headlines and I was like, oh, that's why. Because there is some collective energy happening in the collective consciousness that is heavy and dark. And so that is just one of the side effects of being so spiritually connected to energy and connected to the unseen. And I am a very energy sensitive person. So when there is significant conflict or, like I said, natural disasters, I'm really sensitive to that. I also am really sensitive to collective anger, collective fear, collective sadness or depression. I energetically feel that in my body. In fact, I sometimes feel the heaviness in my head, in my eyes, and I need to clear that energy in order to keep a state of neutrality in my body. But what my angels and guides, they channeled the most beautiful message to me. And they said, this is like almost word for word what they said to me. Be the light. Be the light in a dark, dark world. Be the flashlight. Be the beacon of light. Be the firefly in the darkness of the night. By your actions, by who you are, by how you energetically show up in the world, exemplify light. Allow others to see hope and love as well. Be an example for what it is to rise above hate and fear and rise above conflict and to step into alignment in the light. And that really struck me because I haven't really talked about what's happened, even though my DMs are getting blown up with, what are you hearing from your guides, Kara? Because I didn't really want to contribute to more to being triggered for more anger, more sadness, more frustration. I really thought, you know what, I'm just going to spend some time keeping myself in center, keeping myself in the light, and we'll go from there. But I feel ready. I feel ready to talk about the topic and talk about what we can do. So I really think we're being called to do 4 things right now. If we are energy sensitive beings, if we are on a spiritual path, if we are on a path of opening ourselves up through growth and expansion with the unseen, I really truly think we're being called to do these 4 things. So the first one is to rise above disagreements. If you find yourself getting hot under the collar, getting heated, getting frustrated, getting charged up, being super animated, speaking in a way, in a tone in which you're not happy with, those are all signs that you need to rise above the chaos. You need to rise above the disagreements that you're experiencing right now. So that's something I want you to be aware of. Be aware of that. The second thing I think we're being called to do right now is to rise above the fear that may be permeating within us. Fear is a very low vibrational energy. It is not as low as shame, but it's pretty low. It's pretty down there. And so if you're feeling fear, anxiousness, etc., fear for the future, fear for what this world means and what world we're leaving to our children and our grandchildren, and you're in a lot of fear, you are contributing to the lower vibrational frequency of the planet. So let me explain what that means. So we are all connected. We are all part of what I call collective consciousness. We are all a little thread, and we're all interwoven and connected together, which is why other people's energy can affect us and we can affect other people's energy. And that is true whether you're in the same room with them or not. Have you ever been on the phone with somebody and you're like, oh, your darkness and energy is just a mood killer and I'm not even in the room with you? Or vice versa, where you're like, oh my God, you just made me feel so much better. Like you're just, even hearing your voice just made me so happy, right? So we are part of a collective consciousness. And if your thoughts and emotions and feelings, whether you're expressing them verbally out loud or not, are rooted in fear and worry, that is what you're vibrating out into the planet. And all of the vibrations of the planet collectively come together and let us know, are we rising up or rising down? And so it is upon us to choose a more high vibrational path. Even if it's, I am going to accept what happened, even if I can't change it. I'm going to accept it because it is. It is what it is. It happened. Whether it's something in your life or something that happened, the war in Palestine with Hamas and Israel, the war in Ukraine with Russia, Charlie Kirk's assassination, whatever it is, if it's, a personal thing happening in your life, whatever that is, recognize that you have an obligation to rise above that and get to a higher vibrational state. Okay. The third thing I think we're being called to do is speak our most heart-centered truth. Now you might think, okay, Carrie, you're telling me rise above disagreements, don't be in the fear, get into acceptance and love, but then you want me to talk to people? I thought you told me not to talk to people. I thought you said just be a beacon of light. Are you contradicting yourself? And I will say this, when we are speaking, our words hold power. They are powerful and they are sacred. And what we say matters. It matters in our own vibration and it matters in the impact of the vibration to others. So are you talking with clarity and compassion? Are you talking from a place of integrity? Are you in gossip? Are you sharing unsubstantiated claims? Are you seeing something on Facebook and going, oh, I'm going to tell everybody this to be true, even though I don't even know if it's true? Because let me tell you, if Facebook is where you're getting your news, it's 95% bullshit. So try it. Next time you see a headline on Facebook, go search somewhere else in a Google or Chrome browser, or Safari browser, whatever. Go search somewhere else and see if you can find that headline to be true somewhere else. It's probably clickbait and it's probably not true. So when are we participating in sharing things that are untruthful or gossipy, or are we rising above that? And when we are speaking, we're speaking with love and clarity. So the question or the comment that comes almost every time I'm in a reading with somebody, my guides, your guides, they're always saying this phrase over and over and over again. And the phrase is, what is the most heart-centered way to speak your truth? So how can I say what I need and want to say in the world, but from a more loving place? I just had a ruffle, let's call it, a ruffle with a dear friend where I challenged her on some things and I stand behind what I said. But after reflecting, I thought there was a way in which I could have said it, or an environment in which I could have said it that would have been a heck of a lot better. So did I speak the most heart-centered truth, or did I just speak truth? That's what I asked myself. And then I called them and said, hey, I just want to talk to you a little bit. I feel like the environment at which I said that and the way in which I said it isn't the way I wished I would have said it. And here's what I wished I would have said instead. And we had a beautiful conversation, and it was needed. It was healing. And so when we do misstep or we speak out of integrity, then it's upon us to fix it too. It's okay to admit you're wrong. In fact, it's a really beautiful sign of maturity. So go ahead and do it for real. Okay, the fourth thing, right? So we have rise above the disagreements, rise above the fear, speak your heart-centered truth. And the fourth thing that I believe we're being called to do is be an example of love. Be an example of love. So are you modeling light? Are you modeling love? Are you modeling peace? Are you modeling integrity? Are you modeling compassion in your actions and in your words? and just in the energy that you carry out into the world. Just know that what you think and feel permeates out into the world. It's an energy thing. So are you being the kind of example you're proud of? Are you looking in yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? These are unique, challenging times. We've gone through challenging times in the past. We'll go through challenging times in the future. But the way that I am holding my head and carrying myself is something that I can be proud of. If the answer is no, then I challenge you to do better. I'm challenging myself to do better too, in case you're wondering. Okay, so when we're doing all of those things, but we fail miserably because we are humans. We are souls having a human experience in a 3D world. And I encourage you, when things feel out of balance or feel a little chaotic in your body, it's a reminder that you need to ground yourself and you need to clear your energy. So this might be the fifth thing you could do, or just a little bit of reminder of how of a practice that you can do when you're feeling a little bit out of sorts. So ground yourself. How do you ground yourself? My favorite way to ground myself is to put my real feet in the grass. Even in the wintertime, I put my feetsies in the grass if there is some grass. If it's all snow, then I can't do that. But if there's a little patch of grass, I do it. So put your actual skin feet on grass. Let Mother Earth's, take away some of those low vibrational energies that are stuck in your body. Spend as much time in nature as you can. If you can go for a walk, sit by a tree, get out in nature in any way, shape, or form. I go into these woods that are a couple of miles from my house, and I call them my magical woods. I'm like, hello, fairies, angels, guides, come on in. Spirit animals, regular animals, give it to me, all of you. The last time I went for a long walk in the woods, I saw 4 different deer, 4 different times, 4 different locations of deer. So cool. It was like butterflies everywhere, deer, ducks. I mean, you name it. It was so freaking cool to see these beautiful creatures in nature. And they just put a smile on my face. And I was like little magical miracles on my walk in the woods. So do that. Meditate. Listen to music. If you're a deeply religious person, pray. Pray. Fold your hands and pray. And by the way, prayer is another way to tap into the collective consciousness and raise the vibration, especially if you're praying for the greatest good of all, which is what I do. I pray for whatever is the highest vibration available to me, and I pray for the highest vibrational path for all involved. What is for the good of all? Or journal. Just journal. Gratitude. Say, get into a place where you're thankful for the things that you can be thankful for. I am so thankful to pay my electric bill because it means I have lights that I can turn on. And there are war zones around the world where people do not have electricity. So I'm going to be grateful for that today. Even if it stretched my pocketbook to pay it, I'm going to be incredibly grateful for the electric bill today. I am so grateful when I open my fridge, the light turns on and there's fresh water in there. So grateful for that. I am so grateful for my high-speed internet that I can record this podcast that you're all listening to and loving and enjoying, right? So just think about those types of things. What are the ways that you can return to love or get out of that chaotic state and get yourself into a place of alignment, grounding, and centeredness? Also, just some healthy boundaries, right? If you're really energy sensitive and certain people are super toxic, just don't be there around them when you're not in the most centered place. If you're off kilter, they're going to kilter you. They're going to make you feel like you whipped off the merry-go-round and went flying. When you'd hang on to the sides and you'd spin as fast as you could and you're like, "Wah," and you fly off. If they make you feel that way, then, limit the time you spend with them as much as you can, right? Social media. If it is not serving you, if your feed isn't full of things that light you up and bring you joy, you probably leave that session scrolling feeling lower vibrational than the one you went in, than the energy you went in with. So be discerning. If it isn't for you, take a break from it, limit it, give it a very limited amount of time that it can be there. One of the best blessings I ever did a couple of years ago, I stopped watching the news. I realized it wasn't helpful. I realized it was actually more entertainment than news. I found myself feeling frustrated with the way in which people talked, and I really didn't like it. I was really not into it. So now I read my news. I read something called the Free Press, and I read something called Morning Brew. And those are the two things I read every morning. I get the headlines, I know what's going on, and then I have my local newspaper called the Lincoln Journal-Star, and I read the headlines of that. So I feel like I get what's going on locally and in the world, and I get it from sources that I trust that has sometimes a little bit of humor with it too. But I don't watch the news because most of it feels pretty toxic inside my energy field. So pay attention to that. And I want to leave you with this. One of my favorite things that I do that really helps me to clear energy, because whether we know it or not, we are giving our love and energy out to others, and it's like floating out into other people's energy fields. And we're absorbing other people's energy. We're around them, and it's like they rub off on us. And so if we're not thoughtful about clearing that and calling back our own energy, it can get, you can be like, I just am having an off day and I don't know why. Try clearing your energy and see if you feel better. Again, stand in the grass. That's one of the ways to do that. I like to stand in the grass, and then I like to do these 3 things. I say my name out loud 3 times. And what that does is it says, this is my name. I am Kara. This is my unique vibration in the world, and I am calibrating my vibration to my higher self by saying my name. I am meeting my higher self by saying my name out loud. I'm like, yep, that's me. This is me. This is who is saying this. And then I say, I call back my energy from all time, space, and dimension. I call back my energy to me. And then I say, I release all energy from all time, space, and dimension. I release all energy from me. So those are the things that I say. So let me walk you through them. So I say, Kara Marie Bunde-Dunn. Kara Marie Bunde-Dunn. Kara Marie Bunde-Dunn. I call back my energy from all time, space, and dimension. I call back my energy to me. I release all energy that is not mine from all time, space, and dimension. I release all energy from me. That simple practice takes about 30 seconds, and it makes me feel so much better. I feel a little better already, actually. So I just, ask you to be thoughtful with the heaviness that's going on right now, with the tragedies, with the conflicts. It's a reminder for us to be in the light. It's a reminder for us to continually seek our spiritual path and to see what is available to us and how we can model the way in which we show up in the world. So if this resonated with you, take 1 or 2 things from this podcast and apply it to your next week. And I just ask you, put your hands on your heart, really sink into this intention. And this is my prayer or my sacred hope or desire for you. I choose love. I choose truth. I choose to rise above the fear. And if I can choose love and truth and rising up into my higher self, you can too. So I hope you enjoyed season 4. We've got lots of fun things coming up on the pod, and I thank you for being here. So until next time, y'all, have a great day.